Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tablante, founder of Sovereign Sentinels, and I haven't really done a YouTube video in a while, and I think that I'm also going to upload this on X. I'm going to test whether or not I'm going to have engagement by uploading by uploading long form videos on X. Okay, I'm going to try this new format. So this, I couldn't say it's a live stream, but it's like a live stream format, right? That's why I have this live stream bookmark here. But I think once we are able to do a live stream, then I'm not going to upload. I'm not going to upload this as a video. We're just going to do a live stream. I think that for me, the style of content that I want to do is in a live stream format, because sometimes content ideas just come to me randomly, but then since I don't live stream yet, it's like, and then I forget about the amazing content idea that I had. So okay, so first we're going to watch, wait, what's this? Andrew Huberman. Okay, let's check. I don't think this is copyrighted, by the way.
Basically, two kinds of people in life. They're winners and they're losers. And the definition is this. Losers take things that happen to them and that they feel inside that suck, and they wallow, and they use it for self or outward destruction. Winners take whatever they feel, they feel it, it sucks, and they transmute it into things that are good for themselves and for the world. Period. End of story.
Okay, so this is a great clip by Andrew Huberman. And this, unfortunately, I was like this back then because, you know, I got brainwashed by the neo-Marxism, by this left-wing, right-wing bullshit that honestly, even though I'm thankful for Karl Marx because he was the one that came up with the class analysis, okay? That's one of his magnum opus, his critique and analysis of capitalism. Everything else that came after that was absolutely fucking dog shit. And this is why I always talk about on my X about the history of Karl Marx and how the elites co-opted Marxist teachings, and how his analysis was, I always say this, like his analysis was right, but his I don't know if it's prognosis or prescription, yes, prescription was wrong. And obviously we all know that communism, Marxist prescription led to the deaths of hundreds of millions of people throughout the world, right? And like this thing came from Karl Marx. It's like the analyzing the system, you know what I mean? It's Karl Marx who made that popular, like analyzing what's wrong with the system, analyzing what's wrong with capitalism. But at the end of the day, you know, it's like analyzing the jungle, right? I always talk about it on my X that we haven't really left the jungle. We might live in concrete buildings, we might live in the cities, we might live in so-called civilization, okay? But it's not really civilization, okay? It's not really that we've left it's not that we've left natural selection. It's not that we've left the way of life or the way how our ancestors have lived, right? We have never left that, okay? And by being trapped in the neo-Marxism, okay, which is, you know, critiquing the system and, proposing that there must be a revolution, or that we should organize and we should critique everything, right? Because feminism, feminism, cultural Marxism, they're all downstream from Karl Marx, okay? And I think that some of the elites who are I think that some of the elites who are very well read have decided to use Marxism in a very devious way as to exacerbate the class struggle. So make the rich even richer, make the poor even poorer, make the incumbent middle class poor, and the upper class, if not them, their next generation is going to be just upper middle class. You know what I mean? No to digital ID. YouTube and Australia now shows this until you verify their ID. So yes, I've been warning you this, guys, about the digital ID that's going to be implemented in the first world west. Well, I think that digital ID is going to be implemented worldwide, or at least in most of the UN consignatory countries. I always say this on my X. UN consignatory countries just means all of the members in the United Nations, okay? But I think that you have better chances of delaying you getting your digital ID if you leave the first world west, all right? And obviously we don't consider, because some people are going to say, oh, what about India? They already implemented digital ID like way back in like the 2010s, early 2020s. It's like we're not planning to go to India, okay? That's not one of the countries that I recommend you go into, because that is India, South Asia in general is just an overall dysfunctional society that you definitely don't want to go to, okay? Okay, so this was what is this? Okay. So this was the original. Okay, we're going to read the original post first. Japan was famous for extremely low quality goods until they were suddenly not. China is the same. Japan was historically known for producing low quality goods, particularly in the immediate post-World War II era through the 1950s and into the 1960s. Yeah, so this just basically says that back in the day, Japan wasn't really associated with high quality goods, but within a single generation, of course, they got better and better with manufacturing. They got better and better with industrial engineering, and so over time, of course, they're going to learn how manufacturing works, and then just a generation after that, or not even a full generation, right? Just a few decades later, people are going to change their perceptions of Japan, and that goes the same for Korea, because it was like Japan first, then it was Korea, then after Korea, now we have a good view of Korea, right? Back then, people didn't really think that much of Korea. Believe it or not, if you talk to the older people, Korea was actually the Thailand back in the day. Korea was the red light district of Asia back in the day. People didn't really think of Thailand as like the red light district. That's much more of a recent thing, believe it or not, because back then it was Korea that was the red light district. Which is why there's this. I don't know if it's directly related, but I'm just trying to connect the dots here, which explains why K-pop is too sexual, if you know what I mean. Like if you watch K-dramas or if you watch K-pop videos, music videos, there's this very noticeable sexual overtone, right? It's like borderline porn. It's like softcore porn. And why are these K-pop stars undergo surgeries to have double D boobs, and you know what I mean? Why do they whiten their skin? It's because back then, I don't know how people forgot this, but Korea was the red light district back in the day, not Thailand, okay? Thailand back then was just a poor, backwards agricultural society, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that to like dunk on Thailand. Obviously, I love Thailand. Okay, this. So I quoted the post right from Level SIO. So I said this. The millennials and old Gen Z are stuck in their ways thanks to the CIA/NED, which means the National Endowment for Democracy, if you guys are not aware of it. That's like the next CIA. The CIA is not that active as it used to be, and the NED is like the next generation, the successor to the CIA, so to speak. But it's a Chinese century for a reason. Young Gen Z and beyond will be more and more pro-China. Mark my words. Okay? Then there will be a multipolar linguistic world order. English and Mandarin. Spanish a close third due to the increasing attention towards Latin America. I see a bright future for the BRICS. Omitted India, because India is a lost cause, unfortunately. The West cannot wage war in these nations. They've already got pre-Weimar conditions back home. And if they still stubbornly wage one, it'll only accelerate the decline. Okay? Emulate what the elites do. Don't listen to what they say. And it's unfortunate that people don't do this, which is why I always teach about oligarchology on my X, and now I'm also going to teach it here in long form video, okay? Because if the elites go ahead with their Tikkun Olam global reset agenda, then having fiat money is not going to matter as much. You think that your 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K per month in net income is going to do anything to save you? I'm afraid it won't save you once the elites do their Tikkun Olam, because there's a really high possibility that they just do an overhaul, if not completely destroy the current fiat currency system as it is, okay, and they might replace it with a digital CBDC, but it's not as good as the electronic fiat currency we have today, because people forget, why do we have, the debit cards? Isn't that already digital? Kinda, but it's not really fully digital. People forget that it is electronic money, okay? The money in your bank, the money that can be accessed via your debit cards and credit cards, those are electronic fiat money, okay? That's electronic, not fully digital. But once we go fully digital, it's not going to provide the same level of freedom. It's not going to provide the same level of fungibility as electronic fiat does. Because electronic money is just like, it's almost as good as cash, except it's electronic, okay? It's electronic, and you can use it to make online payments. But at least the powers that be cannot easily control what we can do with the electronic money, right? But it's not going to be the same case for digital money, okay? For digital currency, okay? Which is why you need to get a foreign domicile outside of the first world West, in places like Southeast Asia or Latin America. If it's Southeast Asia, you can go for Thailand. But Thailand is too high key, like when people think of Southeast Asia, the first thing that comes to mind, or the first country that comes to mind, is Thailand. Okay? And I think that the more interest there is towards a country, the more it's going to be more receptive. The more it's going to be targeted by the Kabalim, by the Adonim, as we say. Yeah. Kabalim just means the cabal, right? The cabal, but then I added the Hebrew suffix im. Okay, Kabalim. And then the Adonim, which is the ruling class, the global transnational elite ruling class. Alright? which is why I also promote you guys learn Spanish and Mandarin, because that's going to be the future. And of course you also have to learn like the country, the foreign domicile you're going into, like the Philippines. Of course you have to learn Tagalog, okay, or Bisaya if you're going to the south. But if you're living in Luzon, especially in the regions near Metro Manila, then you need to learn Tagalog, okay? But I also recommend that you learn, if you're going to Asia, then of course Mandarin, prioritize Mandarin. Don't study Spanish, because Spanish is pretty much useless in Asia. But like if you're going for Latin America, then of course you have to learn Spanish. Me, I'm just going to learn both Spanish and Mandarin, okay? Okay, so it's a post about the Chinese elite and statecraft. It's too long of a post, but I enjoyed reading this, so yeah. Okay, so this is a post about foreign slaves and how the elites throughout history have imported foreign slaves for cheap labor, which then triggered native replacement. People think that this white replacement is a new thing. No, it's not. Okay, this has happened time and time again throughout history. It's because people don't read history until it's already over. Okay, until it's already too late. Okay, what do I always say in the Hebrew verse that I keep on repeating over and over again? Okay, there is nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. Okay, that's what I always preach. There's nothing new under the sun. History does not repeat itself, but it often rhymes, which is why we need to use history, okay? Not just in the Professor John method of like, oh, we just predict what's going to happen in the future, then we're not going to do anything. No. Okay, that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we look at history. We're going to see what are the important events that happen. What are the events that might affect us in the present and in the future. If such things that happened in the past were to happen again 5 to 10 years from now, how are we not just going to protect ourselves from this, but how are we going to benefit from this? Okay? That's what I always preach. Oh, damn. Oh, my ex went away. Okay, we're back. Okay, we're back. Okay, so there was this post about 4chan. Let's check it. Okay, so this is about, a 4chan, a dude from 4chan posted about there is not going to be a collapse like people think. It's just a slow and steady decline of life. It's like prices just continue going up, rent and house payments just continue to go up, okay? And life just gets shittier and shittier until it's already too late and that people no longer own anything, okay? And it's like by then, Agenda 2030 has already been achieved. The thing about the elites is that people don't know that this Agenda 2030 used to be Agenda 21. And it's like they keep moving the goalposts. But it's not because it's not just because they're just moving the goalposts. It's that they are achieving some of their agendas, but sometimes those other plans that they have, those other agendas that they have are not materializing, okay? Which is why, some people suggest that, I forgot the dude who said that China was going to catch a cold, right? But like, they were actually behind in schedule with that. So this suggests that the elites, the true elites, not the rich people, not just rich people, but the actual ruling class people, they're behind on whatever agenda that they want to implement. Because honestly, us living like this, our present day lives, you haven't really experienced the CBDC yet. Yes, we have experienced COVID, but it's like we still don't have the digital CBDCs. Not every country has CBDCs. Not every country has implemented the digital IDs and all of the faking gay shit. Okay, so maybe it's a mixture of the elites are not as competent as we might think they are. Okay. The elites are not as competent as we might think they are. And of course, on the other hand, there is some resistance. Okay? It's not as if the elites want it to happen, then with just a snap of their finger, then it just magically happens as they wish. No. It takes time. Which is why, because it's taking time, right? It's taking time for the elites to do what they want to do. So we should use that time, because it's really taking them a long time to implement whatever agenda 2030 that they want to do, right? Which is why we need to take advantage of that, okay? We need to take advantage of that. We need to establish our foreign domiciles, which I fucking keep repeating over and over again, okay? Establish a foreign domicile outside of the first world West. Learn a second language. Okay, I always preach this. Learn a second language. Why? Because you're not going to be able to enjoy your existence outside of the first world West if you don't speak the native language of the place that you're moving into. Okay? Okay, so this is another good post. Okay, so Clown, our number one enemy is Russia. And then the nerd, no, our nemesis is China. Okay, so this is my response to these retards. Okay, I'm tired of being nice while explaining the reality to you folks. The war you're looking for is within your collapsing Western country. It's your local ruling class, dummy. Who funded the Marxists that created the USSR? Wall Street, okay, in the city of London too. Who invested in China during Deng? Fucking Wall Street. Do you see it now? Also, let's not forget this. Russia is making banks selling cheap energy and agricultural products to the West. China is printing cash by selling cheap manufactured goods. Why the fuck would they kill their number one customer? Or did they at least successfully lobotomize your common sense with their MK Ultra? Don't fall for the fucking fever. I myself am guilty of wasting my time on geopolitics when the conflict is not between nations but within. Okay, it has always been the rule. It has always been about class struggle. Okay, and it's not just class struggle in the Marxian sense. It's class struggle between rich and poor, smart and stupid, pretty and ugly, okay? Strong versus weak. And it's also sometimes between strong and strong, rich versus rich, elite versus elite, poor versus poor, middle class versus middle class, pretty versus pretty, okay? Weak versus weak, okay? It's intra and inter class struggle. Get your money right, get foreign domicile and residency, and I forgot to say learn second language, and leave the West. It's that simple. By the way, a lot of you right-wingers don't understand what Marxism is. It's not a slur you use for anything you don't understand. Marxism is merely a tool of analysis, okay? That is the orthodox or the original Marxism, not the neo-Marxism, okay? Neo-Marxism is the bullshit that we see today about, complaining all day about the system, but then doing nothing about it, or doing a false solution to that is going to waste your time, right? And money. Specifically, Marxism is merely a tool of analysis. Specifically, the analysis of class struggle and exploitation of such class difference. What the fuck is class struggle? Rich versus poor, smart versus dumb. Okay, we've already talked about this. Orthodox Marxism is the analysis of such class struggle. The conflict between strong versus weak, and how the strong exploits, enslaves, and profits off the weak. That's actual Marxism for you right-wing motherfuckers who cannot define what it actually is. Marx was right on the analysis. However, his prescription was utter trash. Marxism, analysis. Communism, prognosis and prescription. The correct move is to adopt the analytical parts of Marxism. Figure out how the strong prevail over the weak, but to discard its utter garbage prescription of communism and socialism. The ruling class understood this back then. You'll be surprised that Wall Street hired orthodox Marxists like Michael Hudson. Okay, Michael Hudson is a famous Marxist economist that actually was hired by Wall Street and the CIA, as one of the leading economists, to teach the ruling class how to better exploit the system. As long as humanity exists, there shall always be class struggle. As long as beauty is admired, as long as strength is valued, as long as people want more, there shall always be class struggle, which creates and perpetuates inequality. Okay? There cannot be a system when there's success, but without inequality. The prerequisite of success, the prerequisite of having beautiful women, the prerequisite of seeing men who are winners is inequality. Okay? It's a waste of time to complain and overdiagnose the system, which unfortunately I was trapped in that mindset back then. Okay? The hows and the why, the matrix is broken. It has never been broken to begin with. It's operating exactly as it should. Okay? Exactly as it should. The only rational use of our time, therefore, is finding and doing the best we can in order to rise up the hierarchy, aka joining the strong team instead of remaining in the weak team. Okay? And it doesn't mean that you're rich, you're making money means that you're automatically in the strong team. Okay? Because you still don't own the means of production. You still don't own land outside of the first world west, which you can use to have or to get sustainable agriculture so that you can feed yourself. So when another cerveza or another similar event or catastrophe happens wherein the supply chains of the food supply gets cut off, or maybe they force us to take another jab, or maybe they force us to take, I don't know, maybe the fucking mark of the beast or something. But if we don't take it, then we're not going to be able to eat. So of course, we can bypass that by having our own piece of land, by having our own piece of agriculture. Alright? We can only bypass that if we only had our own piece of land, own piece of agricultural land outside of the first world west. Okay? If so, why does the system give us the wrong info? Why teach us the fake thing and not the real thing? It's called shepherd's concern. Suppose the sheep can understand human speech. Will the shepherd say to the sheep, I'm only concerned about you because of your wool and meat? Of course not. The shepherd will make the sheep feel that he genuinely cares about them. But it's all a lie. He only cares because he can use their wool and meat. There is no intrinsic genuine concern. The same with the elites. They cannot have genuine concern over everyone else. They cannot have genuine concern over everyone else. Does the pretty woman, in many cases, concern herself with the roster of the man she's teasing? No, unless if one of the candidates is a high-value alpha male, in which, yeah, she does care, because that's the best possible candidate to impregnate her to produce the best possible offspring, the process in which we call eugenification. Okay. And she also doesn't care about the women who are uglier than her, okay? It's not just an intersexual dynamic, it's also an intrasexual dynamic, okay? That is the nature of class struggle. Because if she did, she wouldn't be able to leverage her looks, and she wouldn't be able to extract as much money and attention from men as womanly possible. Do doctors really care if SSRIs and their prescription drugs really work? If they did, they wouldn't be making money as doctors. Or worse, they'd be hunted down by Big Pharma, possibly even get their medical licenses revoked for not shilling the drugs. They're forced to develop shepherd's concern. There's also an element of deceptive probation. It's not that the system punishes us for discovering and acting accordingly with the truth. The system actually punishes us more if we believe its deception, the blue pill. What the system doesn't like is if you distribute the red pill en masse. Okay? Let's say you lock in on self-improvement. You get your money, muscles, skin, and frame in check. You're now a successful business owner. Great athletic physique. Guess what? You're getting all the 10s begging you to get them pregnant. The system doesn't punish you. If anything, it rewarded you for it. But once you start teaching this truth, showing this lifestyle online, and especially encouraging the masculine youth, military-age males to emulate what you're doing, now the Matrix has a problem with you. Because by speaking the truth, you're making more competition, more competitors than what the system can handle. Because this accelerates elite overproduction. Okay? And the truth, or red pill, only works if more people believe in the lies, blue pill. Shepherds and wolves benefit more if there's more sheep and if the herd is docile and conformist. Which ironically is exactly what I'm doing right now. Which explains why I got the attention of some Yehudim and even some Freemasons, but never the masses. That's what I've noticed. I barely gained any attention from the people who actually needed to hear me. And even if they did, they wouldn't understand. And even if they kind of understood, they wouldn't care as much. Which explains my pivot. Okay. But honestly, I'm already getting feedback from the system. And now I see what I did before this year doesn't work. Okay. So this was, when did I post this? So this was like December 15th. I decided to still continue Sovereign Sentinels, okay? Because I only got, when I posted this, I was like, you know what? Maybe Sovereign Sentinels should be, I wouldn't end Sovereign Sentinels, but like this, I think I'm going to prioritize something else instead of Sovereign Sentinels. But then I saw that some people were messaging me because I thought that nobody really messaged me at first during the first 5 months that I did this online thing. I posted thousands of posts and nobody even bothered to do engagement with me. People were just lurking, people didn't really like people didn't really bother to even just leave a like on my posts. But then this December, on the 6th month, especially, by the second half of December, is where I finally got some traction. Okay, I finally, people were actually DMing me, but I didn't really check, the message requests, right? Because I thought nobody was messaging me. But then you actually have to check the notifications, right? Or sorry, you have to manually check in the messages because you're not given notifications, right? Okay, so I had to manually check my messages. But people only started DMing me by this December, okay, by the 6th month that I was posting this. Now I understand why the Tablante and Frankists, the Freemasons, and other secret societies, fraternities gate-kept their know-how. Because everyone just doesn't and won't get it. And if they try, they'll just come up with some low IQ, anti-Semitic conspiracy goy slop and never hits the actual bullseye. The biggest lie ever told was that we can escape the matrix, and that the system or this realm is a matrix, a place to be escaped from like jail. This realm was never a matrix. This realm was never a prison. This realm is a pure class struggle. Strong versus weak, rich versus poor, smart versus stupid, pretty versus ugly, young versus old, Chads versus incels, trad wives versus 304s, red pill versus blue pill. It has always been, and it will remain as is, and shall always be the case. Thanks for reading this sizable thread, okay? Okay, I said that this was going to be the last thread, but after I posted this, I finally got some engagement, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to stop. Maybe the better, because when I wrote this thread, I was like, fuck this shit. Nobody really fucking gets me. I've been doing this for so long, okay, and nobody really fucking understood me. But you know what? Right when you're about to quit, right when you're about to stop what you're doing, that's where the change of plans happen, okay? Things rarely go according to plan, right? Because I was like, fuck this shit. Maybe I'm just going to, go back to and prioritize the online money world, because that's where I came from, okay? I was originally a content, I do content for others, okay? So I do voice acting, voiceovers, I edit their videos, I make the clips, okay? I do the 60-second clipping, right, with the fancy subtitles. That's what I did back. That's what I did back then. That's the world that I came from, online money, right? But then I started the Sovereign Sentinels, and I focused more on doing Sovereign Sentinels and oligarchology, and posting about Shepherd's Concern. Okay, posting about the elites, the Tablante and Frankists and stuff. And what I've noticed that people always lurk. People always read my stuff, but they never engage. They never DM me, even though I constantly ask them to ask any questions, leave any comments. Right, I'm going to answer those. Okay. And my growth has been really slow. I check the analytics. It's like it takes me 25 posts to get one follower. Okay, and I've checked some other people, and it takes them 20 posts to get one follower. It takes me 25 posts to get one follower, because the topics that we talk about are too high signal, so to speak, too high IQ. Not everybody gets it. Okay, so this is the Ecclesiastes quote that I always share. Okay. Okay, so this is a meme about the Golemian dialectic. Oh, can you guys see that? Should I put it here? Okay, so this was about the Golemian dialectic. Okay, 1984, The Lord of the Rings, Animal Farm. This was the meme that I saw some official Freemason accounts share. Okay, so it's like the Kabalit. Okay, Kabalit. This is like the anime Kabal waifu. Okay, with the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. Because Kabalit is like from Kabbalah. Okay, Kabbalah, and then I added the female suffix it, so it's Kabalit. Okay. And then we have Masonit, okay, the Freemason girl, right? The Freemason waifu girl. Okay, so this is what I talk about the emet. Okay, this is like the emet. That's the sigil, okay, or that's the inscription that the Kabbalah wizard inscribes on the forehead of the golem. Okay, the golem is a figure in Jewish mythology. Okay, you guys got to read that. And I've even written the Hebrew Dialectica Golemianit. Okay. Dialectica Golemianit, or Golemian dialectics. Okay, and this is the emet written on the forehead of the communist left wing and the capitalist right wing golems, being controlled by she's the, well, I use Molikit for this one. Molikit. Okay, what's next? Okay, so Islamic scholar, let's see what he has to say.
Equality to all of its members. Is there such a thing in Islam? Is there equality of faith? If we look to one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on the authority of Abu Huraira, Sahih Muslim. So no Sunni Muslim can really argue against Sahih Muslim or Sahih Bukhari. Rasulullah said, don't greet the Jews and the Christians before they greet you, and when you meet any of them on the roads, force them to go on the narrow side of it. And Imam Malik, he said the same thing as well. In fact, Umar ibn Khattab, who Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that if there was to be another Nabi after me, it would be Umar ibn Khattab in his own charter, not charter of United Nations, in his charter with the people of Sham, with those Christians of Sham, in his charter was Kafir and Muslim, they're not allowed to wear the same clothes as one another. If the Muslim, he comes out on the day of Eid and he sees Kafir with nice clothes, the Kafir has to take his clothes off and give it to the Muslims. The Kafir, when he walks inside the street, he has to wear a red belt around his neck, and he has to have his forehead shaved, and he has to wear two shoes which are different from one another. He's not allowed to walk on the pavement. He has to walk in the middle of the road, and he has to ride on a mule.
And you guys are letting these people in the First World West. This is why the West is fucked, you guys. The First World West is fucked. Especially the UK and the EU. You know what, guys? I'm honestly getting fucking tired of saying the same shit over and over again. I don't know why you guys, especially you guys that make money online, you guys still stubbornly stay in the First World West, especially Canada, UK, EU. We already know that, and Australia. Surprisingly, Australia is like. I remember that Australia wasn't exactly the best place to stay during COVID, right? So I don't know why you guys still live there, but yeah. I always say that you guys need to leave the First World West and go get a foreign domicile, right? And learn a second language, because it's going to be helpful for you. So you don't have to deal with the bullshit, with the Islamification of the First World West. Okay? Sharia law in Western Europe, irreversible. Okay? Nobody's going to fucking reverse this. Okay, so a lot of people saw this comment that I made. Okay, so My Latin Life posted something about America and, about America being a good place to make money. So that's why I posted this comment. Facts, bro. I always say this. USA 0-1. The best country in the world to become a somebody from absolute nothing. However, once you make the money, especially if you can make it online, other countries provide better lifestyle with lower costs, and the women are more feminine. 1 to N. Okay, so, and Keteris Paribus commented, yeah, it would have been awesome if I had an opportunity to start my life there, but now it makes a little sense for you to move there. Okay, so this, a lot of people saw this post. I've seen enough Western decline posts. I've seen enough Muslims are invading posts. I've seen enough cabal and elite prognosis posts. I'm already aware of this. What I should be focusing on is how can I and my future progeny can thrive throughout the new world order. Okay, this is going to be a long thread. It is enough to see and acknowledge the truth. Overexposure to the same thing over and over about a topic I already comprehend extensively is no longer productive. And yeah, I've tackled about the issue of, money Twitter and how there's a lot of LARPers. I just saw quite a popular profile recently getting exposed, for being a fraud. Because he was like, oh, I made this client thousands of dollars. And people were checking him. People were asking him for proof. And he basically got exposed for being a scam. Okay. Thus, it is my objective to cleanse my timeline, my socials, and any and all Matrix-approved Goy's law. Okay? And if you engage with their content which is blatantly sensational, redundant, and toxic, it turns off the high-value audience. Okay? And posting the truth leads to nowhere. Well, it does lead to somewhere. I think I've only said that posting the truth leads to nowhere, meaning you shouldn't post it if you want to talk to the masses, because the 99% are fucking retarded. Okay, you can still post the truth. Okay, what I'm saying is that don't think that by posting the truth that a lot of people are going to read or are going to listen what you're talking about, because a lot of these popular supposedly truth tellers, right? It's either what they're saying, it's not necessarily because they're control opposition, it's just that what they're saying does not directly threaten the status quo, does not directly threaten the system, okay? And it's not that what I'm saying is also directly threatening the system, it's just that what I'm saying is too novel, so to speak, okay? Because it's much easier to copy than it is to come up with something original. Like, there might not be 100% original concept, but there are some concepts which, describe something that we haven't really coined a term for such activity or such phenomenon. That's the thing that I'm doing, okay? Those who already know it don't need to read your stuff. They're already the cabal, for fuck's sake. I've seen some of them liking and sharing my stuff, but that was it. If you're reading this, you already know what's going to happen. We don't need yet another breaking news. OMG, illegal migrant, great innocent girl, shots not fired, cops ignored her. You know, which is what we always see here on X. You know, the Matrix approved Goislav. This is just taking our precious time away from our Proxima and Ultima. Proxima is, of course, money, power, and sex. Ultima is creation, destruction, apotheosis. Follow only the legit self-improvement socials. Positivity code profiles and anyone that helps us with Proxima and Ultima. The accounts that do otherwise, block those motherfuckers, okay? Okay. Okay, so about the post from Ty about the PayPal Mafia, which is why, if you're watching this, and there's a lot of people who are like making money with their online business, but they may have a network, but it's just fellow rich people. And what I'm saying is that you shouldn't just network only with rich people, because being rich, having lots of money in the bank, does not automatically mean you're in the top 1%. Because because the elites, okay? The elites are going to do a repeat. The elites are going to do a repeat of Cerveza, or maybe, not exactly Cerveza, but like, they're going to do a similar thing to that, right? And so, if you do not have your network, and you're only hanging around with the same type of people that you've always hanged around with, then of course you're not expanding your social circle, right? You need to expand your social circle. And one effective way to expand your social circle is what again? Getting out of the first world west is what I'm always preaching, okay? But if you've already done that, okay, so you're watching me and you've already done that, and then, but you still haven't learned the local language. Let's say you're watching this from South America, right? And so what you need to do is to learn Spanish. If you're watching this from the Philippines, you need to learn Tagalog, right? Or Bisaya if you're in the South, right? If you're watching me from China, but you barely speak any Mandarin, then guess what? You need to study Mandarin, okay? This is what I always preach. Okay, so I've live streamed, I bookmarked a lot of stuff which I thought I was going to use for my live stream, but now things just happen so quickly, so I don't really have the motivation anymore to talk about them, and people already know this stuff, and two Pakistanis in Japan, okay, two Pakistanis in Japan decided to sit very close to a Japanese girl. This is why you need to live in multiple grids. Andrew Tate was right. You need to live in multiple grids at once, okay? Even Japan is not exempted from the Tikkun Olam agenda, from Agenda 2030, okay? Okay, so I saw a comment about, oh, they just print money you work so hard for. So it's like, there's no point in working hard because the Kabbalim, the Adonim just print the money. It's like, no. Okay, if you adopt the mindset that you have, then you're going to stay perpetually a loser. Okay, which is why I refuted that comment. Okay, so yeah, I went on a tirade again about neo-Marxism. Okay. Okay, so this, I'm gonna have to continue this, but on the next video. Okay, so we've been already going on for like 55 minutes. Damn, we've been recording for that long. Time really flies, huh? So yeah, I'm going to continue this. Once again, I'm David Tablante, founder of Sovereign Sentinels. Peace out.